the sine function, so if that's theta, if it's x, then that's sine x, right? If it is theta, then that's sine theta. And so that's one period, like we said, whatever repeats over and over, that's a period. And you could take any portion of it that is that wide, it will repeat, right? But this is like the principal period or the main period. And we saw that this was 0 to 2 pi, right? So the period was 2 pi. And that's the maximum value 1. This is the minimum value -1. And this is called the midline. And the maximum distance from the midline, either way, that's the amplitude, right? Which is 1 for the sine wave, for just the sine function. And frequency is how many periods fit into 1 unit, which is 1 over the period. These are the key features. The other things are the maximum value happens here at pi over 2, then 0 again at pi, and then -1 happens at 3 pi over 2, and then again 0 at 2 pi, and then it repeats both sides. This is the simple sine theta. And cosine is the same thing shifted left. Okay, so cosine, if you shift it left, then it will start from here. That is cosine. Right? So if you see, if we shift sine function left by pi over 2, we get cosine. Therefore, we can write cosine theta also as sine theta. How do I shift it left by pi over 2? Plus pi over 2. So you get this identity also, which relates cosine theta and sine theta. If you shift sine theta left by pi over 2, you get cosine theta, or you can shift cosine theta right by pi over 2, and then you will get sine theta. So you can also say sine theta is cosine theta minus pi over 2. That is also true. Like we can generally transform any function, we can also transform sine and cosine functions. And we wrote in a general way the transformation as. And then we said when you see something like this, because the horizontal shift or the phase shift, we want to have theta minus or x minus, right? But this is b theta minus. So we have to restructure it a little bit. So a sine, and we take the b common. So it becomes b theta minus c over b plus d. So once we rewrite, once we convert it into this form, once we have theta minus, not b theta minus, now we can identify what these things are. The absolute value of A, that gives you the amplitude, because if it is negative, the whole thing flips, but amplitude is still that positive. And B tells us the period. And we saw it last time how that happens. But if it is B factored out from theta, then from B theta, then the period is 2 pi over B. And when it is theta minus whatever, that is the phase shift. So if you have theta plus, then you can write it as theta minus minus, right? So that you can figure out the, so if phase shift is positive, it is going to the right because it's minus here, right? And then D is the vertical shift. Cosine works the same way. Sine, cosine, they work the same way. The amplitude, the period, the phase shift, vertical shift, they're all the same.